Welcome back to Echo Trade. It's Jeff Roth, and we're here with Thurman Kelley from Brookmont Capital Management. And Thurman's going to talk to us about earnings season and what the team at Brookmont has seen and what they're doing about it. So let's jump in. All right, Thurman, how's it going? How you doing, man?
We're doing all right. I'm sure my analysts are happy to be almost done with earnings season. So it's always that time of year, but hopefully we have a good strong end of the year coming up.
Yeah, it keeps you guys busy, kind of checking out all the reports.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They've been coming through everything, but I think they're coming up on the end of it. So a lot of good information, but it wasn't as bad as a lot of people across Wall Street were thinking. I think
Yeah.
60.
So yeah, tell me. I mean, kind of, we pretty much are wrapping up, like you said, kind of third quarter earnings season. Want to look at kind of on a broader perspective on what you guys have seen. We can maybe dive into one or two individual companies, but I'm curious, kind of across the board. We're wrapping it up. What has you and your team kind of looked at? What have there been any kind of standouts that you guys have noticed, and kind of on a broader perspective, what have we kind of learned from this quarter's earnings season?
Yes, the earnings weren't as bad as everyone thought, with about 66% of companies that have reported actually beat their estimates. We think a lot of management teams had very conservative estimates going into the quarter. I
Yeah.
know we saw that in our portfolio. So about 85% of the companies in our portfolio beat their estimates, but the companies we're invested in are typically their management teams give very conservative guidance and estimates, because that helps manage volatility during earnings season, which is a big part of what we do. Is we try to manage volatility for against the overall market while still being fully invested all the time. So a lot of our companies did well. There are two standout ones this season. So Microsoft and Novo hit it out of the park again, like they have been doing all year. Novo's driven by their Wegovy and Ozempic weight loss drugs that everyone's talking about right now. They're very, America's really grasping these drugs, which is a good thing for Novo Nordisk. It seems like
Yeah.
they can't make enough of it, so they're actually having to invest a lot more into creating more supply of this drug for Americans, and then soon enough it'll be in Europe as well. So that was a big driver. And then Microsoft, they just continued to deliver good results quarter after quarter. It's a very well-run company, so nothing really surprised us there with them, beating earnings pretty drastically. But we just, they've been a cash cow for a long time and very well run. So we kind of expected them to do that, but whenever they do run up like this, sometimes they hit our threshold of 5% of the portfolio. And when that happens, we have to rebalance them back down to their model weight of 3.75%. So I imagine they're itching closer and closer every day to that 5% threshold. We've already had to rebalance them down once this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have to do it again by the end of the year.
Yeah, I was curious. I was going to ask, in terms of, like you mentioned, you got your analysts pouring over, kind of these earnings reports coming out over the last couple of weeks. What kind of changes do you guys typically make, or do you guys making any adjustments to your outlook or to the portfolio based off of kind of what you guys are learning the last few weeks?
Nothing really surprised us. It was kind of a boring earnings season, so
Yeah.
nothing like portfolio wise. And our outlook hasn't really changed either. We don't change our outlook very often, especially from a macro standpoint. You can't be changing it every quarter. We don't think that's the right way to view it. And we're also not a macro shop. I mean, we just buy good quality companies and hold them forever. But with that being said, we do think that there is going to be a slowdown in growth in terms of U.S. GDP. We don't think it will go negative. A soft landing is somehow still possible, despite the drastic rise in interest rates that we've seen.
Yeah.
The CPI report yesterday came back a lot lower than expected as well. So
Mhm.
everyone's saying that they're probably done with their hikes, and now they're just waiting and trying to plan out when they're going to start cutting rates. With that, I imagine they'll be more stubborn and persistent with holding rates than what a lot of people are thinking right now. Inflation at the end of the day is still above their 2% target. And Jerome Powell has always expressed very adamantly that he does not want to cut rates too early. He's willing to, go into a mild recession, I think, if it means that we can tame inflation down. And so that's why we think he'll hold rates for longer than what most people are pricing in right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was priced in the beginning of the year that, it kept pushing back October, November, January, then it was May, and then just literally we had a call last week where we were talking about the pricing in for May, and then the next day it's switched to July. So they'll keep pushing back, but at the end of the day, I mean, it could be, adding a stimulus to the economy, and then if they do that, in the spring or the summer, and it could tick back up inflation again potentially. So I'm curious, you did talk about Nova, and I've been hearing a lot about this, kind of across the board, and then with our own managers here at EchoTrade as well, with this new weight loss drug and Ozempic and all of the news it's been getting and ramping up, certain companies, but then kind of, pushing down other companies that could, tangentially have a negative impact through that drug. Are you guys seeing that as hype, or do you see that's going to be continue for at least for Nova specifically to through 2024? And as you said, they're kind of going to be expanding overseas as well shortly.
Yeah, so it is, a lot of it is hype, but the hype has,
Power.
been proven to be right in certain cases. We know, I think last quarter Walmart reported that since Walmart owns a pharmacy, they were actually tracking the patients that get a Ozempic prescription filled. How did that affect their spending pre Ozempic and post Ozempic? And they saw a drastic change in shopping patterns and consumption in terms of the food that they were buying at the same store.
Wow.
So that's one, it's a small sample of the overall market of the U.S. consumers' reaction to Ozempic, but the way the drug works, would verify, that observation that the Walmart management team had. I mean, this drug really, reduces your consumption of food pretty drastically, and that makes you lose weight. So as more and more Americans get on it, as doctors prescribe it more, especially since they had that new study come out saying that it reduces your cardiovascular risk by I think it's by 17% or something like that. So since that study came out, the FDA is now going to expand the label to allow them to prescribe it for, prevent cardiovascular disease as well. So with that means Medicare can start getting on it and paying for it, and then all these other private insurers are going to be more open to paying for it as well. So we could turn it around, and a lot of people may be on the drug, but they don't have to pay out of pocket for it. So I believe with insurance, it's $25 a shot or something like that, but without it, it's well into the thousands. So as it works its way through the medical insurance industry, we should see it be a large growth driver moving forward. And Eli Lilly just came out with a competitor drug as well, which isn't too big of a threat. I think it's a big enough market to have two players in there. So we're going to continue to monitor it. We've been in this company since they were developing this drug, and we're happy to see our investment thesis come true and come to fruition. But the market seems to be even bigger than what we thought it could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy listening to you talking about, the effect of this drug on a company like Walmart, and and how one weight loss drug can have implications that broad reaching, in terms of, just you don't think about Walmart but the pharmacy, but those effects, and it's adding, dollars per customer visit. So fascinating stuff, Thurman. Appreciate the time. Investors can check out the Brookmont dividend growth strategy, which looks like they're doing pretty good and making some pretty good bets so far. And earnings season came out pretty well for Brookmont and the team. Thurman, thanks again. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it too.